Hey there nation, welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back with another episode of Commander Cheapskate Reviews. And on this episode, we'll be taking a look at this wonderful site. This is the Warhammer Armies Project. You can find the website directly here up the top here in my web browser. I'm on Google Chrome right now, so you can see right here I'm at the warhammerarmiesproject.blogspot.com, and as you can see here, we have this wonderful webpage we're going to be talking about today. And today we're going to talk about some of the features about this website, and talk about some of the reviews about it. We're also going to discuss why you might, as a player of Warhammer Fantasy Battle, might want to take a look at it as well, and talk about some of the features of this website as well. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get this started. So just right off the bat, just to let you guys know, the Warhammer Armies Project is a blogger blog site is what it is. It's run by an individual named Mathias Eliasson is his name. Mathias Eliasson is basically the head of a community that pretty much creates a series of army books and rule books for not just the existing armies in Warhammer Fantasy Battle, like armies that didn't get updated rule books, but also for other different armies that exist within the Warhammer world that the Games Workshop has never really made books for. For example, as you can see on the top, pretty much just kind of breaks it down to different types. We have 9th edition rule books, we have Army Rulebooks as well. These guys have also made a 9th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Battle, which is kind of cool. You also got different things like Ravening Hordes, which are their kind of like their errata, as well as like their additional works. You got expansions that they created. You also got downloads that they could use. It also gives you a nice list of alternative miniatures for like Albion, Amazons. You can see the list here. They give you a nice little list of alternative miniatures that you can go to in order to use them for the different games as well. They also got a gallery of some of the armies that they have as well. And of course, you have their Google group and everything else. And it's actually a really cool little project that this group has come together to create these rule books. It's really awesome as well. And the best part about all of this is that it's absolutely free, which is really cool. You can, of course, go through and support them by giving some donations through PayPal and stuff, which, you know, if you're feeling generous, I highly recommend you do it because they have a wonderful wealth of information. So, for example, if you're playing 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy, you can see here they have army books for armies that don't exist yet. Things like Albion, Amazons. Bertoni, for example, has an 8th edition book that these guys have created. Same thing with Forces of Destruction. They have one for Chaos Dwarves as well. Same thing with Dogs of War, which is a really big one from back in the, I think it was 4th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Battle, when the Dogs of War first came out. So, you know, things of that nature. Parts of Sartosa, for example. I mean, these are all different things they have. And they also, like I said before, they made a 9th edition rule as well. And of course, they have rule books for all their different 9th edition rules that they have too, which is really, really awesome. It looks really cool as well. Things that they also done as well, it's also kind of a magic cards and all kinds of different things you can see here as well. Just a whole wealth of lore and information. Of course, you can see their updates as they go throughout the years. Same thing with the different materials that they have that they've made for all the different armies that they have. So it's really, really neat as well. And the cool part about it is, of course, you can just download your books and just take a look at them as PDFs. So, for example, we're going to look at the Bertoni one because this one was really well done. I really like this one. I already have this one pre-downloaded already. So as you can see here, here is our preview that we have here on my Mac, and this is what the Bertoni rulebook looks like. As you can see, it's 162 pages in length, right? So it's like an actual rulebook, as if Games Workshop had actually made one of these things for 8th edition. And you can see that the way they've done it, they made it look like the hardcover copies, which is really cool. They got artwork inside of these things too. And of course, they got, like, you know, the little artwork as well. And they also got a table of contents. As you can see here, there's a large amount of information they've done. And these books are absolutely amazing, considering the fact that these are all pretty much, you know, made by hand, as you can see here, written by Mathias Eliasson as well. And you got different artwork and additional materials that have been provided for it as well. So this is really, really cool. I mean, just a wealth of information here that they actually have. I mean, if you go to it, it looks just like a normal army book. So you have like your introduction page. You know, they also give you like the little excerpts here with the work of art in the middle of the pages. They give you all the lore. So you can see here, you can just see tons of information about it as well. Just lots of lore and fluff and stuff that you could use for if you just want to read for entertainment purposes, let alone the rules. So you can see here, it just keeps on going. It's just amazing the amount of detail that actually went into this as well. So just keep on scrolling down some more for you guys. Another thing I really like about this too is, like, aside from the lore that they actually have, that they actually provide for this material as well, they also provide the rules. I'm going to scroll down here to get directly to the rules. So you have your bestiary down over here. Let's get into the lore real quick. There we go. So you can see you got your army special rules. For example, they give you rules for lance formation as well as using it in combat. They also kind of give you some of the special rules like the blessings of the Lady of the Lake, things of that nature. It's just amazing. So you can see here's the bestiary where they kind of give you the stats as well as a description of all the special rules as well. And not only do they actually have rules for pre-existing units already, but they also give you new units as well. Like for example, this guy's called a Templar Crusader, which is an original character that this guy came up with as well. He's got his own series of special rules as well. Same thing with Priestesses Ashalia, for example. They kind of give you information about her, a brand new character as well, with rules to go with. So it's kind of really neat because they kind of build upon what the Bertonians already have and also throw some new rules in there as well. So you can see there's just a ton of information. Not only do they have a kind of plethora of just normal information about different units that already existed, all a bunch of different new ones as well. For example, Truffle Hounds, for example. They're kind of like fanatics that you could use for your commoner units to make them a little bit more, you know, to protect them from being charged against. Things like Peasant Bowman, for example. As you can see, it's kind of neat. One of the biggest problems with Bertonian, for example, was that Men-at-Arms had a weapon skill of 2, right? Well, this one is kind of interesting because they kind of adjusted the rules a little bit. So now the Men-at-Arms have a weapon skill of 3, but a ballista skill of 2. Whereas if you look at the Bowman, for example, they have a weapon skill of 2, but a ballista skill of 3. So you can see that they kind of done that as well, kind of made some adjustments in order to strengthen or weaken things as they need to. For example, there's a brand new unit called the Peasant Levies, which is like, you know, Direct Organized Mob. This is like your most, you know, basic unit that you could have. Wonderful, fantastic artwork put in there as well, which looks really cool. So you can see here just a ton of information that's really, really neat, and they bring out a lot of units as well. Another thing also kind of neat is because in these rule books, they also bring back not only just new units, but they also bring back some oldie but goodies as well. For example, they bring back some special characters. One of the ones I remember from the 4th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Battle was Bertrand the Brigand. He was like a Robin Hood type character who had like Friar Tuck and a Little John type character named Hugo Le Petit, as well as Guy Le Gros. And as you can see here, they're located in that unit as well. And they also have the rules addition for those guys. And it just looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, just the amount of detail, like the borders here on the pages, as well as the inserts. I mean, it looks like you're looking at an authentic Games Workshop product. And that's how well the workmanship is on this as well. So you can see here they give you the point values for different virtues. They also got a whole new spell lore, some magical items that they could use. The list just kind of goes on and on. And of course, as you can see here as well, we also have the rules, the actual point values for everything. So you can see the point values attached to everything as well as upgrade costs. It's just absolutely amazing the amount of detail and work that went into this. This is, you know, if you didn't know any better, you would actually think you're looking at an actual Games Workshop product. Just the amount of stuff that they've done, and it's just really, really cool how they've done that. So that's an example of some of the 8th edition stuff that they come up with as well. And not only that, but also they've also in their 8th edition army books, for example, they've also kind of made some improvements as well. For example, if you want to do like, let's see here, if you want to go to 9th edition, let's go to 9th edition, for example. Let's go and look at Demons of Chaos. So this is actually one of the newer products, and it's going to take a second for this to download. But as you can see here, they actually made a 9th edition rule sets as well for a 9th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Battle. So that way you could do that as well. And the cool thing about this is, let's pretend that you actually play Age of Sigmar. And you have Age of Sigmar miniatures, and you want to use your Age of Sigmar units in the 9th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Battle. You can do that. For example, as you can see here, we actually have some, you know, edition characters that actually come from Warhammer Age of Sigmar. A perfect example of this is the Demons of Chaos. For example, if we look here, you can actually see some of the new models that came out, like Sharlaxi, Hellbane, as well as Celesky, for example, which are 2 new demon princes that actually came out for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. In fact, let me go and scroll here real quick, see if I can find them real fast. It might take a minute to load up. Let's see here. Oop, might have to wait for that one for a second. There we go. So you can see here, let me see if I can find those guys real fast. Their rules. Alright, so here we go. So we can look at the Army Special Rules here. And as you can see all the different heralds and stuff of the different Chaos Gods. Let me see if I can just scroll a little bit further. So now we're in Niche, for example. There's Nurgle. So let me go and scroll a little bit further down. Oh, like for example, like this, like Plague Toads, for example, right? These are actually from Tamarkhan, I believe is the name of the guy. He's actually an expansion from the Forge World characters. So you see they talk about Plague Toads, which you can get from Forge World, from a long time ago. They also have Plague Drones as well, you know, the typical units that you're normally seeing. as well as the new stuff, which is actually kind of cool. For example, another guy is Kulgath Plaguefather. If I remember correctly, he is another special character from Age of Sigmar. Same with Epidemus. Horticulix Slimex, for example, who is definitely from the Age of Sigmar. You can see that character is also involved in the rules, and they've actually given him, as you can see here, a nice little set of 9th edition Warhammer rules. So that way you can put those old miniatures directly in the newer miniatures directly into the old system if you want to, which is really, really cool. As you can see, they talk about venom thickets and stuff like that he could bring up to his unit as well, which is pretty awesome. And same thing now that we're getting to the Slanesh armies now, for example. Let me see if I can find, yeah. Here's another one, the Infernal and Rapturous, which basically came out with the Wrath and Rapture box set for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. As you can see, they actually have the special rules for that character as well. So it's just really, really cool. So this is like another thing you can take a look at as well when you're working on this. You can take a look at the different army books for 9th edition rules if you want to add that. In fact, the really cool thing about this, for example, which is a really big one that I really liked, was Dogs of War. So you can see here, I've downloaded this Dogs of War PDF. And actually, these rules were so good, and my gaming group and I looked over the product that you guys have created, and the rule sets they've made, and all that jazz. It's just so good, in fact, that my gaming group and I are actually thinking about actually creating a 3,000 point Dogs of War army based on the rules that these guys have actually used for our studio. So, for example, they show your typical Dogs of War army. We also have our Regiments of Renown, which are specialized mercenary units that you could actually hire and use in your games. So, for example, here's like a list of the guys you could do. For example, Gotrek and Felix, for example, Felix and Gotrek, which are the dwarf troll slayer and the imperial human that travels around, which are the heroes of the Warhammer world, the old world. You could hire those characters, and they actually have rules for them, which is actually really cool. Let me go and just find it real fast, see if I can find those for you. So, the Giants of Albion, mercenary. Mercenaries. Here we go, Gotcha to Felix. So they give you the fluff about these characters, they give you their stats, they give you their special rules, they talk about the magical items, and you could use that as well. In fact, my gaming group and I were actually using these rule sets for the Bertonians, for example. We're planning on using the Bertonians, making a 3,000 point Bertonian army. Same thing with 3,000 point Dogs of War army. We're thinking about using that for a gaming group because it just looked really awesome, and these rules were really well written, and we liked everything about it. So that's how we do it. So this is a really wonderful resource. If you're really into Warhammer Fantasy Battle and you want to use this to kind of add unique things to your armies and your gaming groups that you didn't have before, this will be a great product for you guys to use. And the best part about it is absolutely free, which is amazing in my opinion. I mean, all the work that went into this, and the fact that it's available for free is just absolutely amazing. Whenever I do a battle report with these materials, I'm planning on just, promoting this guy as much as I possibly can. As you see with Mathias Eliasson as well, to talk about everything that he did, so that way people will use this resource and use it in future battle reports on YouTube, or just in their gaming communities at all, just by itself, because it's absolutely amazing that this stuff is made. Now, of course, there are some obvious negatives to using this. For example, none of these rules are official, so because of that, obviously you can't use like these rules in like GW sanctioned tournaments, or if gaming tournaments don't want to use certain rules like this. I mean, obviously they can do that. It's up to the tournament organizers. So, you do have to worry about that part. That part is kind of a ding. Same thing if you're playing against like other people at your local gaming store, they might not recognize these rules, or, may not want to play against you with these rules because they're not official. It's just up to you. So obviously you will have some negatives attached to that in terms of officialness of these rules and stuff. But aside from that, though, if you're just playing friendly games with your friends and you're down with it, this would be a really good resource to do that. Like I said before, my gaming group and I are thinking of actually creating a 3,000 point Dogs of War army and Bertonian army based on these rule sets. And we're planning on using those in our battle reports here in the future. In fact, we'll be rolling out a series called For Honor, which is basically the building and painting of our 3,000 point Bertonian army. We're planning on rolling that out for this year in 2020. So, it's just really up to you. In my opinion, this is a great resource, and just the amount of detail and time and effort that went into this, you can tell that Mathias just really cared about this lore. He really cared about the old world and the material involved with it. It took a lot of time and effort to create this for us to use, and it's a fantastic job. And my recommendation for you is to go check it out, use it, and if you decide to make any videos or use a game group, promote this guy, because this guy is amazing, just the amount of stuff he did. So thank you very much, sir, for your contribution to the gaming group, because this is absolutely outstanding resource, and I plan on using it quite extensively, especially on this channel as well. So that's good for this week, guys. This is my review of the Warhammer Armies Project. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is valuable to us as always. Actually, speaking of which, if you have opinions about this, go and leave in the comments. Tell us what you think about this Warhammer Army Project. Are you planning on using it? Is there any use for you in your gaming group? You know, what do you like about it or don't like about it? I'd like to see the discussion. It'd be kind of cool to see that as well. And as always, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest, greatest hobby news related to this channel. So that's good for this week, guys. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out and stay classy.